But as somebody who is a Shedeur Sanders fan, who believed that he got screwed over during draft day, or draft night rather, being a 144th pick, 5th round pick, to see him go out there and make some of those requisite throws and show flashes of the kind of potential that he has, I definitely think it was a good sign. Make no mistake about it. And I definitely think that as a result, he's going to warrant more looks moving forward.
Stephen A. Smith was right all along, and those doubters can eat their words. While everyone was busy writing off the rookie 5th rounder, Stephen A. stood in the gap like a protective father figure, calling out the Browns organization for throwing Sanders to the Wolves without proper preparation. Now, 2 touchdowns, 138 yards, and a masterclass performance later, Stephen A. is taking his victory lap, and rightfully so.
An opportunity. I know people were talking sabotage and all this. I never bought into that bullshit. All right, if you get a chance under whatever circumstances in the National Football League, you better take it. You better take it and run with it. And to Shedeur's credit last night, the moment didn't look too big at all. And he really showed some things that I don't think was translating well from college to the NFL.
Remember when Stephen A. got on ESPN's First Take and declared that Shedeur was being sabotaged? Stephen A. Smith wasn't just protecting Shedeur Sanders when he said the Browns were setting him up to fail. He was dropping prophetic truth bombs that have now exploded in everyone's faces. The 5th-round quarterback didn't just play his first preseason game on Friday night. He launched a full-scale demolition of every executive, scout, and so-called expert who let him slide to pick 144.
Encouraged by. One of the things for Shedeur coming out of the draft that I was critical of was like, I don't think he's a ridiculous athlete, not a high-end athlete, kind of average. I thought he made some plays with his legs that I was really impressed with. So I think that, and for me, the result doesn't matter. And the opponent, for me, Stephen A., doesn't matter. No, Shefty, it's what does it look like? And he looked like a guy that should be getting opportunity to say, nope, you're actually not good enough. If I were the Browns, he would be getting reps with the starters this week. I felt like going into the game, if he played a certain way, that would be the case. He should getting reps with the starters this week. And
the man wasn't just throwing around hot takes for television ratings. He was genuinely concerned about a young quarterback's future. While Cleveland had Sanders buried behind Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel, getting scraps with the third stringers, Stephen A. saw the writing on the wall. This wasn't development. This was sabotage disguised as opportunity.
And here's the thing I've said about Shedeur, and I've defended him. His size, his arm, his mobility are all good enough to be a franchise quarterback. And I think his accuracy, I think it's really good. I think it's really good moving, stationary. I like his accuracy. You're seeing that these are pro athletes. He moves around fine. And I think that's a very accurate throw.
But guess what happened when the lights got bright and the cameras rolled? Shedeur Sanders didn't just survive, he absolutely thrived. The kid who was supposedly unprepared, who hadn't seen meaningful first-team reps, who was thrown into the fire without proper support, came out looking like he belonged on that field from day one.
We all knew this. Like those of us who's been following Shedeur since he was at CU, we know what Shedeur was capable of doing. What the NFL tried to do was blackball him, and I know all about being blackballed. It didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work at all. And I'm telling you right now, Shedeur went out there and he's balling, bro. He's been balling, and he currently is balling, and it's just an impressive game.
14 completions on 23 attempts, 138 yards through the air, and 2 touchdown passes that had announcers scrambling for superlatives. This wasn't beginner's luck or garbage time heroics. This was a legitimate NFL quarterback announcing his arrival to the league, and Stephen A. Smith had called it before anyone else had the vision to see it.
Now, I got to tell you, and I talked about this last night, if this kid doesn't get first-team reps now, shit. They're going to burn Cleveland Browns social media to the ground. I mean, it's going to be a wrap. They're going to burn it to the ground. Got a couple of different things. We got Michael Irvin giving some commentary about Shedeur last night, real time. We got Jamie Foxx on some celebration action. And again, you couldn't ask for a better debut.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. Stephen A. had been warning about the optics all along, questioning why Sanders was getting the shaft while inferior quarterbacks were getting preferential treatment. So you just gonna throw him to the wolves like that? If he had first-team snaps in practice, I don't say that, Smith declared. He wasn't just defending Sanders. He was calling out the entire Cleveland organization for their questionable decision-making. While Browns ownership tried to distance themselves from the draft pick, Stephen A. pointed directly at owner Jimmy Haslam, the same man who gave Deshaun Watson a $230 million guaranteed contract. The politics were messy, but Stephen A. saw through the smoke and mirrors to identify the real issue. Talent was being wasted due to organizational dysfunction.
I think he's being set up to fail. That's right, I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
Here we are on national television, right? There's been 11 practices, if I remember correctly. He's been starting against he's been playing against the third unit. He's fourth on the depth chart. And then suddenly you throw him into the start lineup, and he hasn't had any reps with the first team at all. Think about that. So you're just gonna throw him to the wolves like that, huh? I mean, if he had first team snaps in practice, I don't say that. But he doesn't, and then all of a sudden he's starting.
Now the pressure is squarely on Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel, and they know it. Sanders didn't just play well, he played better than anyone had a right to expect under those circumstances. While Pickett and Gabriel were nursing hamstring injuries and watching from the sidelines, Sanders was out there making throws that had LeBron James tweeting praise and NFL legends taking notice. The depth chart that once seemed set in stone is now looking more fluid than ever. Kevin Stefanski can't ignore what he saw on that field, and neither can the fans who paid premium prices to witness history in the making.
This is the current photo of Dillon Gabriel and Deshaun Watson that has hit the internet. These guys are not looking very happy, bro. They're not looking very Shedeur, perfect time and happy, bro. They know their days are numbered in Cleveland. But as of right now, I said this before and I say it again, we all knew what Shedeur was going to do.
Let's talk about those throws for a moment. Sanders' first touchdown was a thing of beauty, a 7-yard strike to Caden Davis that threaded through 2 defenders and landed in the back corner of the end zone. This wasn't a check down or a lucky bounce. This was precision quarterbacking under pressure, the kind of throw that separates legitimate prospects from pretenders. His second touchdown was equally impressive, a 12-yard laser that Davis hauled in for the score. These weren't fluke plays or gimmies against prevent defense. Sanders was facing Panthers starters who were trying to make their own statements, and he carved them up like a veteran. This wasn't just about football anymore. This was about star power, marketability, and the kind of cultural impact that transcends sports. Sanders had already proven himself as one of the most marketable athletes in college football, earning an estimated $6.5 million in NIL deals. Now he was showing that same magnetic appeal could translate to the professional level.
Got hurried. I actually thought he played fast. And the second thing I would say when it comes to that number that you have of the whole, like that, he played fast there. The second touchdown pass, he plays fast. Part of the reason why the ball's held a little bit more in this offense is because that's the design of it. It's a play-action based offense. They're trying to get some of the chunk completions down the field. So there's moments when, like, this is playing fast. He moves off the pocket in a second and a half.
The endorsement machine is already in full swing. Sanders entered the NFL with partnerships from Nike, Gatorade, Beats by Dre, and Google, deals worth more annually than his entire rookie contract. But Friday night's performance proved that his earning potential extends far beyond what any fifth-round contract could provide. His jersey sales are through the roof, his social media following exploded by 200,000 followers over the weekend, and brands are lining up to associate with the next big thing in professional football. When you have that kind of marketability combined with genuine on-field talent, you're looking at generational wealth potential. But here's what really vindicated Stephen A. Smith. Sanders didn't just perform well despite the circumstances. He excelled because of his natural talent and preparation. The man who was supposedly unprepared, who hadn't gotten first-team reps, who was thrown into an impossible situation, looked more comfortable and composed than quarterbacks with years of experience. His pocket presence was outstanding, his decision-making was crisp, and his arm strength was on full display. Stephen A. had identified the real problem all along. This wasn't about Sanders' readiness. It was about organizational competence and fair opportunity.
It's perfect. Shedeur is the perfect athlete to work with. He's unique. He sticks to himself and his family for the most part. He's marketable. He's charismatic. He smiles. All of the above. And Nike is so quick with the timing. They say only a matter of time.
Now Kevin Stefanski has a legitimate problem on his hands, and it's the good kind of problem that championship teams dream about. How do you go back to giving Dillon Gabriel and Kenny Pickett the lion's share of first-team reps when Sanders just proved he belongs in that conversation? The rookie showed more poise and production in one preseason game than some of these veterans have demonstrated in entire seasons. Stefanski's depth chart just got blown up, and everyone in that quarterback room knows it. The coach can play coy and talk about evaluation mode all he wants, but the tape doesn't lie. You don't bury talent because of politics or convenience. Sanders was projected as a top 3 quarterback in the draft before falling to the 5th round due to factors that had nothing to do with his ability to play football. Stephen A. recognized that the same dynamics that caused his draft slide were still at play in Cleveland, and he refused to stay silent while a generational talent was being mismanaged.
Oh my goodness, the Browns just released their unofficial depth chart heading into week 2, and Shedeur Sanders is still listed at 4. 14 of 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. What else is he supposed to do? They gave him an opportunity and he showed out. Joe Flacco starting week 1, okay, that's fine. He's a veteran. I understand that. But Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel should not be above Shedeur Sanders. Absolutely not. Dylan Gabriel has done nothing. Shedeur Sanders already proved himself.
The attendance numbers tell the complete story of Sanders' impact. Preseason games typically draw modest crowds of casual fans looking for cheap entertainment, but Sanders' presence transformed this into a legitimate event. The Browns saw ticket prices nearly triple overnight, merchandise sales exploded, and television ratings spiked to levels rarely seen for exhibition games. This is the kind of player who single-handedly changes an organization's financial trajectory. When you combine elite talent with off-the-charts marketability, you get a player who can sell out stadiums just by showing up. Carolina played their first team defense for multiple drives, and Sanders picked them apart like he'd been studying their tendencies for months. The throws were NFL caliber, the reads were sophisticated, and the composure was that of a seasoned professional. If this is what Sanders looks like without proper preparation and first-team reps, imagine what he could accomplish with a full investment from the coaching staff.
What's relevant is what Shedeur does. And in one game, he did all he could in that one opportunity to prove that he belongs. So much so that he now gets another opportunity to where we're going to be expecting and looking forward to the second Browns preseason game. I don't know the last time we were excited about a Browns preseason game where there was a big storyline to emerge like this, but that's what this is. He showed he belonged on Friday night, and now we'll get a chance the rest of the preseason starting this week to show he belongs again.
Stephen A. Smith deserves his victory lap on this one. The man stood up for Sanders when it wasn't popular, called out the Browns organization when it was risky, and identified the real issues when everyone else was focused on surface-level narratives. I'm not accusing the coaches of doing this. I'm not accusing the GM of doing this. But that owner, Mr. Haslam, that's a different animal right there, Smith declared. He wasn't afraid to point fingers at the source of the problem, even when it meant criticizing a powerful NFL owner. That takes courage, conviction, and most importantly, it takes being right. Gabriel, the 3rd-round rookie who was supposed to be ahead of Sanders on the depth chart, is now fighting for relevance. The hamstring injuries that kept them out of this game might have cost them more than just a preseason appearance. They might have cost them their shot at the starting job.
What's going to be hilarious is when we get around to the next game and we're like, we're having to watch Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel right now? Stab me in the eye hole with a damn spoon. It's going to be, all of a sudden, that's going to be a rough watch. We're going to be like, ugh. Unless Dylan Gabriel, hell, Dylan Gabriel might go out there and ball out. I just don't think so.
Sanders' post-game composure was just as impressive as his on-field performance. The rookie handled the media attention with the poise of a veteran, giving credit to his teammates and coaches while staying focused on the bigger picture. "I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable," Sanders said. That's the mindset of a player who's been doubted his entire career and used it as fuel. When he was asked about the pressure and expectations, he deflected to team success and winning football games. This isn't just talent. This is leadership, maturity, and the kind of intangible qualities that separate good players from great ones. The Browns organization now faces a moment of truth. But more importantly, Sanders has vindicated himself. The rookie who was supposed to fail just proved that talent rises to the top regardless of the circumstances. Cleveland has stumbled into something special here, and they'd better not waste it like they've wasted so many other opportunities over the years.
Okay, he played fast. He played faster, not frenetically, not panicky, but he played faster, which is something that you wanted to see. And because of what the Browns do schematically under Stefanski, my question would be whether or not that's something that they can continue to do. Because again, if you're anybody going up against Cleveland, particularly with him, you certainly gonna get to him quicker. And you're gonna make sure he has to get rid of that ball a lot quicker. So whether or not the Browns can be successful doing that, I think remains to be seen. Last point.
When the smoke clears and the season begins, we'll remember this preseason debut as the moment everything changed for Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. Stephen A. Smith called it from the beginning. This kid was special, he was being mishandled, and given a fair opportunity, he would prove all the doubters wrong. 2 touchdowns and 1 masterful performance later, Stephen A. is taking his well-deserved victory lap. The doubters have been silenced, the haters have been exposed, and Shedeur Sanders is just getting started. That's how you shut up an entire league in one night, and Stephen A. Smith saw it coming from a mile away.